Hey guys, Millie coming at you live from my bedroom in Miami Beach. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen that we have relocated our family to Miami Beach. We don't know if this is a temporary or permanent relocation as of yet. All we know is that we are here. We are here for a while and we are living our best lives. I am currently looking out the window at the ocean and the most beautiful beach and pool and palm trees. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to turn my computer around. What's it going to show? Yes, there it is. By the way, if you did not know, this podcast is also hosted on YouTube. So you can see our beautiful faces and all of our gestures and things like that. If you prefer to watch people live rather than hear them, so here I am sitting in this beautiful space, thinking about everything that I have manifested thus far in my 31 years of life. And it's really quite beautiful and overwhelming. And I wanted to share with you guys today a bit about how I got to where I am in terms of my manifesting story. And I'm just going to start back from the beginning when I was like in grade 2. And, they ask you what you want to be when you grow up. And I wanted to be a psychologist. I don't know how many 7-year-olds say that, but I have this piece of homework paper that, my mom saved that said, I want to be, when I grow up, a psychologist. And my first iterations of that as a child were in two different forms. One was as a peer mediator at recess. I got to wear a pretty awesome, funky, reflective vest at recess, and I got to help my peers work out their conflicts. And the second was sitting my parents down at the kitchen table and having them share their feelings with one another. And from that day, from that time on, I had the full plan to go to university and get my PhD in psychology and become a full-fledged psychologist. I always had this desire to help people with their problems. I always was fascinated with human behavior and the human mind and the human brain and human potential and all of these things. And it all kind of came out of seeing the suffering of other people and feeling like there must be a better way, feeling like there must be a fix, right? So what happened was I did end up going into psychology. I did get my degree, my undergraduate degree in psych, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel connected enough to the human experience. It felt too clinical. It felt too textbook. And I really desired to get out there into the real world and start working with real people. And now I didn't know what that was going to look like at first. And I thought maybe I'd go back, but I dove headfirst into entrepreneurship straight out of school. Actually, I became a personal trainer first. I worked at a gym for a short period of time. And then I started my own personal training business, which I very quickly decided that I wanted to make into an online business. And I started studying online business and started learning the formulas for success, and all the essential how-tos. I'm a voracious reader. Like, I consume books like you wouldn't even understand. I don't even understand, but I love to read. And the problem was I was, thinking that I needed to have a title. I needed to have a title in order to express my gifts. And what I meant by that is I needed to have like an official specialty, like nutrition or fitness, which I did both of those things, right? And I told myself that, I wasn't experienced enough in life to become like a life coach. I had discovered what life coaching was around that time. I was probably 22. and just didn't have the confidence at that time to go for it, And I dove head first into the world of entrepreneurship. Really, I loved it. I really did. But there was something that felt empty. The alignment wasn't there. It felt surface again. And I just wasn't able to generate a consistent amount of revenue in any of the different like businesses that I had started. I had started a personal training business, which then morphed into a nutrition coaching business. I was a nutritional therapy consultant. And then I became a doula as well, mostly postpartum. So I was working in fertility nutrition and the postpartum and supporting women throughout their journey into motherhood, which I am so passionate about. This matrescence, this a transition that a woman goes through as she becomes a mother, and it's such an incredible transformation. And it's really a time in life when everything gets turned on its head. It really makes you ask yourself, who am I? And in the process, a lot of times women lose who they are in that, because they get all consumed, and there's so many messages that women receive around what they're supposed to do as mothers, right? So I myself made this journey into motherhood around the time I was 27. So I was kind of, dabbling in entrepreneurship, but doing it really in this way that I was trying to check all the boxes and do everything the right way, with my classic perfectionist tendencies. And it just, again, there was something missing there. And I started to dive deeper into personal development work. I'd actually hit a personal low around the time of 25, 26. I was drinking way too much, making some questionable decisions around that time, and really admitted to myself that I had a problem, and that if I continued on that course, that I would end up exactly how I didn't want to end up, exactly like the person that I was trying my hardest to not be like, who was my mother. And if you listen to the intro episode of this podcast, you'll hear more about that side of my story, about my childhood and the struggles and the trauma that I overcame through that relationship. But I had to make a decision at that time. And so I stopped all the spiritual bypassing, because that is what I was doing. And if you're not familiar with the term of spiritual bypassing, essentially what it is like, the analogy I use is like, when you see a dancer who is going through the motions of her routine or his routine or their routine, and, doing these micro movements, but they're just kind of going through it in their head. They're not actually doing the routine. They're not fully committed. They're not living their routine. You know what I mean? So spiritual bypassing is when you kind of go through the motions and you skirt the actual depth of the healing, the issues, all of the above. And that's what I was doing for so many years. I was reading the Deepak Chopra and all of the different spiritual teachers and personal development books, and nothing was really changing. I was still numbing, I was still escaping, I was still having really difficult times in so many of my relationships, very turbulent, very explosive. And I didn't understand. I didn't get it, but I hit this low, and it was a tough time. It was a really tough time in my life, and it made me fully commit to a new leg of my journey of healing. So I went into therapy properly. I just, went deep into the world of affirmations and self-love. Honestly, self-love was one of the biggest pieces that I needed to learn, and made a huge difference for me. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you will have seen me preaching self-love for many years. And even beyond self-love, the next steps of my journey were self-acceptance, which actually took the self-love to a core level. Self-acceptance and self-compassion was a game changer for me. And now I've been a follower, a student of manifestation for many years, but it didn't really fully become a lifestyle for me until I learned the self-compassion piece and learned the true proliferation that manifestation can have on your life, because manifestation literally is everything. Now, when I gave myself permission to finally pursue the path of entrepreneurship that I really desired, you know, as a life coach, as a business coach, after learning so many things of what not to do, I began working with my first business coach. I paid 5 figures for a business coach to walk me through step by step to her exact strategy, you know, her business strategy. And I thought, wow, this is going to be it for me. Like, I'm going to follow every single thing that she says, and this is going to be it. I'm going to hit like my 20K launch, like it's going to work. And 2 people signed up for the course that I created. I poured my heart into that course. I just gave it everything that I had. And I thought, this is it. We're just going to take off from here. And she had said to me, the most valuable thing that I got out of that coaching relationship was that she said to me, why don't you niche in manifestation? Because there was already manifestation elements in everything I was teaching. And I thought, holy shit, you're right. Manifestation is the umbrella that covers everything that I do. Like, self-worth is required for intentional conscious manifestation. And it just all fell into place and made so much sense, right? So once I realized this, I started going back to everything that I had learned about manifestation. And I actually started working with a shaman and fully leaned into my feminine. And I ended up throwing away all of the masculine business strategy that I had learned. And energetically, I was super ready. I was like, I'm leaned back. I'm ready for my clients to arrive. You know, I'm being true to myself. I'm leading with desire. I'm living in pleasure. And again, crickets. Crickets. I even worked with more coaches that were like really energetically led coaches, and things just still kept falling flat. Right? I felt like I was flailing and lacking security. I desired the masculine structure to contain like the feminine flow that I had learned. And I remember a moment where I ordered a wall-size calendar and all of these sticky notes. And I started to schedule in both my pleasure and my productivity. And at that moment, I started to integrate the law of attraction with the law of action. And that's when the magic really started to begin in my life, because previously I was able to manifest, you know, I manifested an incredible relationship, living a lifestyle that I never thought was possible for me. You know, like I came from, I wouldn't call it poverty, but like it was a step above, where there was a time when my mom had to go to the food bank. You know, there were things that were luxuries to me as a child that I take for granted now. I mean, I don't take for granted, but you know, they're necessities to me now, like things like Kleenex and paper towel and just little things, you know. I did not grow up in any kind of luxurious lifestyle. We never vacationed. Very modest, lots of thrift store clothing, you know, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything bad of it, and I still absolutely don't. But I'm just explaining this to you because it wasn't just easy for me to step into a next level of living. that was presented to me as I manifested, because I always knew, and this is manifestation right here, guys. This is one part of manifestation that was never difficult for me. I always knew I was going to have more. I always knew in my heart that I was going to experience a great life with so many great things, and I was going to make that happen. And so I did that. I made all of that happen prior to having a successful business, prior to any of that stuff, because I knew it and I would imagine it. And I was certain. There was belief, there was clarity, and there was belief. And those are really the two things that are required for manifestation, right? And I didn't even have to think too much about it, and that's the most successful type of manifestation that you can have, is when you don't have to think too much about it. You just know it's going to happen and you just do what you're doing and it comes. And so it did. So I, manifested this relationship that is perfect for me. It has challenges, as every single relationship does. I got married at 23, engaged at 21, married at 23. Most beautiful children. Just had Rosen at 27 and Goldie at 30. And it's just when you get attached to outcomes, when you get really attached to outcomes, and when you really attach your worthiness to an outcome, that's where the manifestation challenges start to come in. And I think that's why so many people have so much trouble manifesting money, because there's so much attached to money around worthiness, around success, around what it means about you. You know what I mean? We tell stories upon stories about what it means about who we are, how well we do, how much money we can manifest, how successful we are, all of those type of things. So when I finally learned how to integrate everything that I had learned along the way, the self-worth, the self-acceptance, the authenticity, the vulnerability, the courage, all these pieces of wholehearted living. And I use that word from the teachings of Brene Brown. This is the word she uses very often about what it means to live a wholehearted life. And it's letting go of who you think you're supposed to be so that you can be who you really are. And that's the type of manifesting that you want to do. That is the type of manifesting that you want to do, because everything else is so attached to an outcome and so attached to ego, really, right? So you can manifest from ego, but it's not going to feel the way you want to feel when you get there. And so what wholehearted manifestation is, what conscious manifestation is manifesting from your truth, manifesting from who you really are, so that you know that as you take your journey, is going to be just as enjoyable on the journey as it will be when you arrive. In fact, the destination is not even like the main goal. The main goal is feeling good on the way there, because the definition of success to me is pursuit of a worthy goal. That is my definition of success, because we are always happier on the way than when we arrive. We're always happier when we're on the way to vacation than when we're on the way home. You know what I mean? We're always happier, like children are always happier on Christmas morning than they are after they've opened all their presents, right? So if you think about it that way, it really encourages you to make the most of today. And that's what really will supercharge your magnetism and manifestation abilities. So once I learned these things, how to integrate, to know what actions are actually going to be in integrity with who I really am, that's when the magic started to happen. When I hit my first 5-figure plus month, and I felt it all really falling into place, I knew I was drawing upon this guaranteed recipe for success, right? And more than that, there were just so many other improvements too. Like my marriage, manifested a wonderful marriage, but it got better than ever. Having children is very tough on a marriage, very difficult for every couple. But just from this work, from the things that I've learned around embodying the person that you really know you are, and understanding who you really are, asking these proper questions, you can improve every area of your life. And most importantly, the most important relationship that you will improve and must improve is the relationship you have with yourself. And that is what wholehearted manifestation is about. Yes, it's about the luxuries that you want. Yes, it's about the lifestyle that you want to create. But it's first and foremost building the foundation upon which you can actually build a sustainable future that's not just going to crumble. Like they say that, I don't know what the percentage is, guys, but the number of lottery winners that end up broke is very high because they weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for that type of money. They weren't ready for the lifestyle change. It didn't align with who they thought they were. It didn't align with who they were being. You know what I mean? Their relationship with themselves had not changed at all. They just got handed a big fat check. You know what I'm saying? So after I learned all these things and started to implement them in my life, I finally had the chance to exhale. I finally felt like I could relax. I finally felt like it was guaranteed, it was mine, it was coming. And that's what wholehearted manifestation is to me. It's this inner knowing. And that is confidence. This inner knowing that reassures you, this unwavering confidence that it's yours and that this life is going to go the way you dream it to go. Maybe it doesn't go to plan, or it won't manifest exactly how you want it to in your image, but it's going to be damn close. And it's this or something better, you know? So it's unshakable knowing, unwavering confidence. And that potential is in you. And what you are finding here in this podcast, through following me, is very hard to come by because there's not many people who understand this, let alone teach it, right? So I am here to help you unlock your courage, your confidence, and your cash flow as a result, as a bonus, wholeheartedly, right? It doesn't come from sheer will or hustle or visualization. None of these are predictable sources. And I just really, my mission here, guys, because I have experienced this so many times on such deep levels in my life, that I want to help you unravel shame and get into your courageous, like I said, my favorite words, my pillars that I live my life by are courage, connection, and compassion. Courage, connection, and compassion, right? And that is embedded into my wholehearted manifestation program. It's about power, it's about liberation, and it's about creating momentum, right? Reconnecting to the truth and wonder of you, your value, your worthiness, your divine desires. These are your sources of power. Compassion for your humanity as the source of your abundancy frequency, okay? This is your true source of liberation. And to draw in the force that propels all that we desire to create through proper application of goals, embracing decision, and getting into inspired action. That will be your source of momentum. We're closing the gap here in wholehearted manifestation between head and heart, right? So if you're ready to manifest your wholehearted life, it's done. All you need to do is decide. So wholehearted manifestation is my signature program. It is open for enrollment right now. It's a 16-week coaching experience. It's a course and a group coaching container. And it consists of 8 lessons. And we are covering 1 lesson for every 2 weeks, because the point here, like I said, we're closing the gap between head and heart. We're taking everything that you need to know about manifestation and we're moving it into your heart, into your soul, and into your life. This will become a way of living for you. You will embody this material. On top of that, you'll have workbooks, weekly workbooks, and you'll also, well, bi-weekly really, because it's 1 module for every 2 weeks. You'll have a Facebook group with a ton of support. And my favorite aspect of all of this is the group Voxer chat. There's a group Voxer chat where there will be ongoing support, coaching, camaraderie, other people inside to hold up the mirror to you and to remind you of your greatness constantly. This is one of the most inspiring things I think I've ever encountered, is being in the energy of people who can remind you of your greatness, who see it. Their belief in you is so strong that it forces you to also believe in yourself. There's nothing more powerful than that, honestly. So the course is open now. The first call is on September 22nd, and we will meet weekly for 16 weeks until your life is completely changed. It's guaranteed. What you come to this course with is what you're going to get out of it. Enrollment closes on September 22nd, which is the day of the first call. And now is your time. If you're listening to this, if you're feeling the pull, if you're feeling it in your heart, if you're feeling it in your body, if you're feeling it in your gut, your heart, your throat, you know. I know you know, and I would love to invite you in right now. The link is in the show notes for you to get in there. There's a payment plan. And I'm just so excited, guys. Like, this is my life's work come together. This really could change the entire world. It will definitely change your world. And the point here is to change your brain, follow your heart, and manifest the life of your dreams with wholehearted manifestation. So I'm very excited to see those of you courageous enough to jump in. And geez, it's going to be an experience. There are so many women who have already come through the course. There are 24 founding members that are joining us for this second round. And they have said so many incredible things about the course. A good friend of mine, Jeannie, who joined us, said, Millie brings unparalleled energy and knowledge to her students. She is beyond passionate about the topic of manifestation, is committed to getting her students to where they want to be. She not only teaches us the topics, but helps us embody it too. If you're debating signing up, this is your sign. Jump in. Melanie says, I feel a renewed and deeper sense of manifestation after completing wholehearted manifestation. There's more play and pleasure in my life. Millie has this pure energy that shines through. She makes you feel like an old friend. This course will change your perspective on life and give you hope for the future, as well as direction for pursuing your dreams. And Kellia says, I love Millie's energy. It's so motivating, and the examples she gives makes things so clear. They often open my mind to new ways to approach and implement concepts I already knew. I find myself happier as I focus more on my goals and desires with an open mind. I watch the replays again and again. It's just, it fills my heart so much to have women coming through this program and saying things like this. But the thing that gets me most is not that they're saying things like this, is that their lives are actually reflecting it. There's one more for you from Christina. And Christina says, if you've gotten far enough to be reading these testimonials, that's all you need to make the jump and sign up. Honestly, the best thing I have done. So many things falling into place. My mood, my relationships are all benefiting greatly. Millie is amazing, and I feel like I've known her my whole life. Her knowledge and ability to see what is going to build you up is truly magical. My goosebumps are out of control, and I am so excited. And on that note, I'm so excited too. Signing off. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Millie Fox Show, and come on in. The water is fine.